I used to be the kind of person who believed in vulnerability, raw, honest, and unfiltered. I believed that if people saw the real me, they'd understand, empathize, and maybe even love me more for it. But I learned the hard way that some stories aren't meant for every ear, that sometimes silence is strength, and that not everyone who listens has your best interest at heart. My name is Rachel Miller, and this is the story I wish I never shared. It all began during my second year working at a marketing agency in Portland. I'd moved from Austin after a messy breakup with my ex, Tyler, a man I thought I'd marry, but who left me shattered and distrustful after cheating with someone I considered a friend. Portland was my fresh start. I landed a decent apartment, got a stable job, and even started making new friends. One of those friends was Jessica Monroe, bubbly, blonde, sharp-tongued, and always the center of attention in every room. We met at work, bonded over overpriced lattes and mutual frustration with our boss, and before I knew it, we were spending weekends together, brunch, shopping, binge-watching true crime documentaries. Jessica had that charm that made you feel safe, like you could spill your soul and she'd never judge you. One rainy evening, after a few glasses of wine, I found myself doing just that. I told her everything, how Tyler cheated on me, how I felt like I wasn't good enough, how I doubted my worth, and how the betrayal broke something inside me. I didn't realize how much pain I was carrying until the words came pouring out. Jessica nodded, hugged me, and said, "Girl, you're strong. You'll rise again. I got you." For a while, I believed her. The next few months were peaceful. I started dating again, nothing serious, just dipping my toe into the dating world through apps and meetups. I met a guy named Alex Carter. He was sweet, attentive, and listened when I spoke. We went on a few dates, and things were going well until one afternoon he pulled back and said, "Hey, I heard from someone at work that you're kind of carrying a lot of baggage." I was stunned.
Who told you that?
He hesitated, then mumbled, "I don't want to cause drama, but it was Jessica. She said she was just looking out for me." My stomach dropped. I tried to stay calm, but inside, everything burned. I confronted Jessica the next day. She laughed it off like it was no big deal. "Rachel, I was just being honest. You don't want to scare the poor guy away with your drama, do you?" My jaw tightened. "It wasn't your place to say anything. I told you that in confidence." She shrugged. "You're too sensitive." That night, I sat on my bed and cried, not because of what Jessica said, but because I realized I had trusted someone who didn't deserve it. It wasn't the first time someone betrayed my trust, but this time, I felt angry at myself for opening up again. I'd promised I wouldn't be vulnerable like that anymore. And yet, here I was. Over the following weeks, word started spreading at work. Whispers. Side glances. My story had become office gossip. Jessica didn't just share my secrets with Alex, she'd told others too. I became the girl with issues, and every professional mistake I made was suddenly linked to my personal life. You think Rachel's struggling because of her breakup? She probably needs therapy, not deadlines. She overshares. It's kinda uncomfortable. I was mortified. Every morning felt like walking through fire. I stopped going to after-hours meetups, stopped eating lunch in the break room, and unfollowed Jessica on everything. When she noticed, she texted, "Are you really this dramatic? Chill." But I wasn't being dramatic. I was hurt, and I was done. One evening, I sat at a quiet cafe, sipping on chamomile tea and watching the rain streak across the window. An older woman nearby noticed me scribbling in my journal. She smiled kindly and asked, "Writing a book?" I chuckled, just trying to make sense of things. She nodded. "Writing helps. So does knowing who's worth telling your story to." We ended up talking for over an hour. Her name was Linda, and she'd been through divorce, single motherhood, career setbacks, yet she spoke with a grace that made me feel seen. Before she left, she said something that stuck with me. "Your story is sacred. Not everyone deserves to hear it. Some will hold it, others will use it. Choose wisely." I decided that night to take back control. First, I reported Jessica to HR, not to destroy her, but to protect my professional boundaries. Gossiping about a colleague's personal life was inappropriate, and HR agreed. Jessica received a formal warning, and the office buzz slowly died down. Second, I began journaling consistently, not for anyone else but for me. The pages became a safe place to process my thoughts. I also started therapy, real therapy, not just venting over wine. Third, I stopped oversharing. Not completely, I still believed in human connection. But I started being intentional. Not everyone who smiles at you is a friend. Not everyone who listens wants to help. Some people are just collectors of stories they can use later. I reconnected with Alex months later. He apologized for believing gossip, admitted he was wrong to judge me based on someone else's words, and we gave it another try. Slowly, carefully. This time, I let him learn about me through time and action, not through someone else's distorted version of my life. I also found new friendships. People like Maya, a quiet but thoughtful coworker who never pried but always showed up when it mattered. Or Marcus, our IT guy, who had once lost a child and didn't speak of it unless someone had earned the right to hear it. These were people who respected privacy, who knew that trust wasn't a currency you tossed around. It took almost a year to fully heal from the damage. Jessica and I never made peace, and that's okay. Not every ending needs closure. Sometimes, walking away is enough. I tell you this now not as a warning, but as a lesson learned. Be careful who you trust with your story. Pain, trauma, joy, heartbreak, these aren't casual topics to sprinkle into small talk. They're pieces of you. And not everyone deserves a piece. In the world we live in, where social media encourages oversharing, where people post their entire lives online, it's easy to forget that privacy is power. There's something beautiful about being known deeply by just a few rather than being known shallowly by many. Today, I still live in Portland, still work in marketing, still journal, but I'm different now. I'm stronger, not because I was broken, but because I learned how to protect myself. If someone wants to know my story now, they earn it. They earn it with kindness, patience, and consistency. And even then, I hold some pieces back, because not every chapter needs an audience. So, if you've been hurt by someone you trusted, if your words were twisted, if your truth was used against you, know this. You are not weak for sharing. You are human. But you're wiser now. And your story? It's still yours. Just don't tell everyone.